So today's discourse is a continuing discussion about freedom is the power to transmute. So we've had a number of discourses on this by Reverend Lotus, myself, and Reverend Daniel. For today, I wanted to start off with a quote by a Zen teacher, Lin-chi, L-I-N, last name C-H-I, Lin-chi. And I won't be giving you the exact quote, rather I'll be paraphrasing it. But what Teacher Chi says is that for people who do not have faith that they have the capacity to be Buddha, these people look to the outside for power. And he goes on to say in this quote that the power to transform or transmute comes from within, not from the outside. So spiritual freedom, we need to ask ourselves, is spiritual freedom dictated by the circumstances of our lives? Is spiritual freedom dictated by our station in life, our job, our family? I would postulate to you that the answer is a definitive no. If spiritual freedom or the power to transmute were dictated by outside circumstances, for instance, if you are suffering from some kind of persecution, or you are a prisoner in jail, because of that, can you not have spiritual freedom? If that were really true, then what we'd be saying is that spiritual freedom is dictated by forces on the outside, by situations on the outside, by circumstances on the outside, and not from the power that we have within. This power within to transmute, this power to be spiritually free, is inherent in all of us. It is part of our DNA. We have the power to be free of mind, free of heart, free of spirit. So how do we achieve this power? How do we tap into this power to transmute so that we can be free? Well, I'd like to discuss 4 different things that we can all do. The first thing, and this harkens back to what I just said about Teacher Chi, is to have faith. Many of the ministers here at the Spirit of Lotus have said during discourses that we need to recognize who and what we are, that we are co-creators with God. Now, how many of us have taken that to heart? How many of us, like Teacher Chi says, really have faith that we have the capacity to be Buddha? That we have the capacity to be Christ? That we have the capacity to be Krishna? Most of us have put these great beings on such a high pedestal that we have made it a literal impossibility to become them. And the sad part about this is it's of our own doing. Christ said that we have the capacity, the power to do just like Him and more. The Christ wasn't limiting us. Krishna wasn't limiting us. Buddha wasn't limiting us. Muhammad wasn't limiting us. We are limiting ourselves. And because we lack faith, that we are this, that we are God. This causes us not only suffering in our life, but causes us to look outside of ourselves for power, for the ability to transmute. We look to other people, we look to texts, we are guided by forces on the outside instead of looking within. There's a story I wanted to share about this from the Hindu tradition. And I'm no expert on the Hindu tradition, but I know this is not from the Bhagavad Gita, but it's from one of the Bhagavads. And after the word Bhagavad, there's a different word, which I can't pronounce. But it's apparently a very famous story, which ties into what I was saying about faith. And it's the story of Gajendra. So who is Gajendra? Gajendra is an elephant. This great elephant who is the leader of this great herd of elephants. And Gajendra, on one hot day, decides that he's going to go to a lake. And in that lake, he's going to drink. And this will take away all of the suffering from the heat that he is experiencing. So Gajendra leads his herd over to this lake, and Gajendra then walks into the lake and stands into the lake and starts drinking. Now when Gajendra has had his fill, he tries to move out of the lake, but he finds that he cannot move. And then what happens? A crocodile comes over and grabs a hold of one of Gajendra's legs. So now Gajendra is stuck in this lake and he cannot move. So the symbolism of the waters of the lake are that the waters are the maya and the glamour of this worldly world. And the crocodile is symbolic of our sins. This attachment to our sins and not being able to free ourselves from our sins. So Gajendra is now stuck in this lake of maya and glamour. He can't move, and he's prevented from moving by attachment to his sins, this crocodile holding on to his leg. So the story goes, Gajendra is in this lake for 1,000 years. And he does everything he can think of doing to try to get out of it. And finally it occurs to him that he lacks faith. He has not asked for help to get out of the lake. So this is at a point where Gajendra is almost done. He can no longer survive. So from the lake he picks a lotus flower with his trunk, and he holds the lotus flower up high. And he then calls upon Vishnu. And Vishnu in the Hindu tradition is the supreme being. So he holds up the lotus flower and bows his head, and he asks Vishnu to free him from the lake and the crocodile. And the reason Gajendra is freed from this circumstance is because he has faith that Vishnu will do it. And the story goes, Vishnu does appear, and he cuts off the head of the crocodile, and he allows Gajendra to move out of the lake onto the land. This is the power of faith. The power of faith to transmute the circumstances that we are in, to free us from maya and glamour and our past sins. And this power of faith is within us. It is something that we can tap into every moment of every day. So first way to tap into this transmutation power is faith. Second thing we can do is diligence. I was reading the other day a book by Thich Nhat Hanh. It's a book about power and what power is, and how most people confuse power with outside worldly things. Power is having money. Power is having a great job. Power is having a beautiful wife or husband or mate. Power is having a nice car. Power is having political influence. This is what most people associate power with, but Thich Nhat Hanh was saying in the book that no, that's not true. Power is derived through love and joy. That is true power. It's because for those people who think power is money and cars and position in life, that no matter how much of it they have, they will never truly be happy. They will continue to suffer because they're directing their energies towards something that is not love and that is not joy. So how do we cultivate this love and this joy, which, by the way, gives us power to transmute and to be free? You do it through diligence to your practices. And the point here, the overriding point, is nobody can do this for you. No teacher can do it for you. No book can do it for you. No master can do it for you. You must do it yourself. You must take personal responsibility if you want the power to transmute and to be free. So Thich Nhat Hanh, he talks about seeds, which we all have in our mind. And these seeds are deep, deep in the subconscious mind. We have positive seeds, good seeds. We have seeds of love. We have seeds of joy, seeds of compassion, seeds of wisdom, seeds of truth. But also, for every human, there are seeds deep, deep in the subconscious mind that are bad, that are negative. There are seeds of envy, seeds of jealousy, seeds of anger, seeds of hate, seeds of separation. The reason it's so important to be diligent with your practices is because by doing your practices, you're cultivating the good seeds. This doesn't mean the bad seeds go away. They're always there. But you're cultivating a garden that is beautiful. It's no different than a real garden on this physical plane. If you want that garden to be beautiful with flowers that are blooming and lots of greenery, shade, whatever you want your beautiful garden to be, you must be diligent in watering the garden, in taking care of the garden, in weeding out the weeds to make it beautiful. And we all know what happens if you don't. If you don't, your garden becomes overrun. It becomes full of weeds. Your flowers die. Your greenery dies. If you do not do your practices, you are not watering the positive seeds. If you don't do your and by watering, the positive seeds, you are also strengthening these seeds which are growing into beautiful plants. They become stronger and stronger. Every now and then, a negative seed might get a little water because of something that's happening in your life, some difficult circumstance which you are having trouble dealing with. But if you have been diligent with your practices, you have the tools to weed that out from your garden. Through diligence, you literally can transmute your garden into something utterly beautiful. And you can keep it beautiful year-round. But again, it is your responsibility, and it does take time, and it does take effort. If you don't put in the time and the effort, you're going to be like Gajendra, who's stuck in the lake of Maya and glamour, who's prevented from moving by the crocodile of sins. So we've talked about faith. We've talked about being diligent with your practices. The third thing you can do to tap into this power to transmute, to free yourself spiritually, is to live in the here and now. Most of us, for very little time during the day, are actually present. If we're driving to work, for instance, are we really driving to work, or are we driving and our mind is wandering to things that have happened in the past or worries about what might happen in the future? When we're walking our dog, are we really walking our dog and being present? Or again, are we letting our mind wander? If you worry about the past, you're stuck. You can't move up the mountain to enlightenment. The past is the past, and it should stay in the past. The same thing with the future. If you worry about the future, what happens? There was a teacher, and his name's escaping me right now, but he was talking about this worry about the future, and again, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially what he said is, worrying about the future is a complete waste of time and effort. The future is not fixed, but if you worry about it, what are you doing? Fear is a tremendously powerful magnet. Fear, worry. So if you are fearful of the future or worried about the future, you are turning yourself into this powerful magnet and literally causing to come into your life exactly what you do not want to have happen. This worry and this fear is poison to your garden that we were talking about. Instead of watering your garden, you're literally pouring poison over the beautiful flowers and the greenery and the plants, killing them. Each moment of every day is impregnated with all possibility. But if you are not present in the here and now, you cannot tap into that all possibility. And we're only given a certain amount of time during this physical lifetime. You can start now living in the present, or if we continue to be drawn to the past or worried about the future, we're losing all of these moments of all possibility, which you can never get back. The fourth thing I wanted to talk about with respect to tapping into the power to transmute so that you are free is this concept of interconnectedness. When we talk about transmuting negativity into positivity, darkness into light, a lot of times we get caught into the concept that we're doing this for ourselves. And we are. But because we are connected to everyone and everything, once we tap into this power to transmute and to be free, we are affecting everyone else and everything for the positive, for the better. There is nothing that we think, say, or do that only impacts us. It does impact us, but it impacts everything else. Think about this for a moment and think about what a great responsibility this is. It's a responsibility not only to improve ourselves and transmute ourselves, but it's a responsibility that if we do not do that, we are negatively affecting others and really all of creation. There's this concept of impermanence that ties into being interconnected. No matter what's happening in your life, it is impermanent. That includes positive things that are happening, negative things that are happening, neutral things that are happening. Our life is impermanent. These things that happen in our life are impermanent. And by our life, I mean our physical life. These things will come and go. It's, as the Buddha said, if you're grasping, holding on to something in this lifetime, irrespective of what it is, you're going to cause yourself suffering because whatever that is impermanent. It's going to change. And if you don't recognize this impermanence, and go with the flow, and let go and let God, and do everything in our power to cultivate the positive seeds, then instead of being a positive power of transmutation in the universe, we are something less than that. And there is no reason why we need to be less than, because each and every one of us, as Teacher Chi says, each and every one of us has the capacity to be Buddha, to be Krishna, to be the Christ, to be anything that we want to be. So that's what I wanted to share today.